think that's it. I think it's working. So we are continuing on our merry trek with the mugs. You may remember last class time when we were working on these things, we had the problem. We ran out of class, to be exact, on those, so I bumped it over to this term. So I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to finish up your mugs. And you should have 2 mugs. Remember that they should be similar. These are my similar mugs, although I glazed them different. I probably should have glazed them the same. But these were the 2 mugs that I had that are working that are similar. So we want to make sure that we get 2 of those done. But some of you have done 2 mugs, and so we wanted to have something else, something a little different. And so this is the inspiration for the next project that we're working on. It's going to be a mug as well. I wanted something that we could do relatively easy and quickly to help us out as others finish up the mug designs that we're looking for. So this was our inspiration. You'll notice as we look at some of these, if I take this guy here, right? This one's kind of straight up and down, right? It's rounded. This one is kind of rounded too. But this one is not straight up and down. It has kind of a bend to it. It's a little bit more loose in its construction. There's terms in art you hear sometimes. One is tight and one is loose. Loose is kind of pretty understandable, kind of moving, flowing, that sort of a thing. And tight would be with control, measured, exact, like so straight up and down would be kind of a tight sort of a structure on those. So what we're trying to do in this assignment is we're trying to make something that's a little bit more loose. Some of these other ones, it was a little bit more tight in its construction, so we're trying to make something loose, but we got to make sure that it doesn't look sloppy. So what's the difference between loose and sloppy? It's control. If you have something that's loose, you kind of have to have something that's controlled on it so that people understand to say, oh, you controlled it that way, so loose must be okay on that. So this bent sort of form here is our loose form. But you notice the handle has a pretty even curve to it, so that's pretty tight. We look at the pattern that goes across here. It's in a measured, coming straight across, in lines coming across this way, and so that shows that it's kind of tight. The surface is bent, but it's continuous. It's not look like somebody hit it with a hammer or beat it up with their hand. So that's kind of tight. We have the bottom. I put a coil on the bottom just because I felt that it needed it. But it's in a circular pattern, and it's kind of tight. The thickness is the same all around, so it's kind of tight. And so if we have enough things that are controlled or tight on our artwork, then loose is acceptable. People say, oh, that's really cool, that's moving and shaking, and they believe that it wasn't a mistake. Okay, so let's move sample number 1. This one was from the other class. I just did a demo on that. So this one, seriously moving and shaking on the shape on that one. So we see that that's our loose form. But let's look and see how many tight things we can find. The pattern that's pushed in over here, right? It's more the exact distance part as well as in the bottom. The handle, we talked about that has a nice control to it as well. As we look at the top, it is fairly rounded, so there's a little bit of control there. Interesting enough, the bottom is kind of a teardrop shape. I got a little bit of things on here, but it's fairly controlled in how round it is too, and somewhat symmetrical. Okay, so that's a little bit of an area of control that we have as well. The surface in and of itself, it doesn't have the beat up marks in it. It does look fairly continuous. And so there's some areas of this mug that have control so that we believe that the loose stuff is going to work for us. That's why we're trying to experiment with this. Now this is kind of more of an art type of a concept. It's not just a make something. We're going to make something with a certain idea in mind. This control versus out of control that we're working. So let me show you how I'm going to do it. To make a bent mug. Step number 1 is we want to have some clay. That's always a good thing to have on those. I may not work as big, who knows, on that one. So we'll get some clay to start out with, and a wire tool. That's also helpful. Things I didn't have on the first thing on those. And I'm just going to use the rolling pin to roll this out. You can throw a clay slab as well, but this will work for me on our purposes for today. So a slab of clay ready to go on those. It's not quite perfect yet. Get that out of the way. Alright, so now we have this guy here. I need to put that one somewhere. I'm going to stand up for a second, and I'm going to just take that, and I'm going to put it over here. Now for rolling out the clay, it's easier if we're standing a little bit. So we'll put that there, and we'll just start to roll out the clay. That's a cool thing. And then remember, this is also a way that I can review with you guys in case you forgot, how does I make that mug again? So we can have some instruction as well. So roll out the clay, and then you peel it up so it doesn't stick. I need a little bit of rolling this way as well. Peel it up so it doesn't stick. Be careful about the little lines in it there. That got a little bit of a crease to it, but we can smoosh it out. And we want to roll this out till it's about 1/4 of an inch thick. You guys knew that already. Okay. Getting there. I just want to make sure that it has everything I'm looking for on it. And if I roll this piece out, it'll be a little bit thinner than 1/4 of an inch. But I think that's probably pretty good. So I'm looking at the thickness here, and that's my thickness. So this is my fingers. You can kind of see how thick we're going with that. I think that'll be workable. Now we do need to have an area. Remember when we made our mug before, our goal was this. We had a rectangle that was 12 inches by about 6 inches, right, in height that we were working on. And that's cool on those, and that made it so we could stick our hand inside, right, so we can manipulate a little bit better. That's a good thing. So I want to at least keep that in mind when I'm making this next project. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. First off, I need about that much of it, right? So I'm gonna keep about this much. This I'm going to save for the bottom. Okay, and I also think that I wanted to have one space flat a bottom on that one. I actually wanted this. I wanted this piece for the handle. So I got a handle piece that I have up over here, and I have a bottom piece that I'll be able to roll out later. Now we have this guy that we need to use here. We have this slab that's coming into shape for us. And instead of cutting it straight, I'm going to cut it so it's bent. Okay, so I want it to have just kind of a gentle curve. Don't go crazy on the stuff, on the curves or whatever. It needs to be gentle. If you go like this, like seriously over there, it's not going to stay straight. It's going to be so bent that it's going to be over on the side on what we're doing. And you know, I'm looking at this edge here, and that might just be all I need. You know, that one already has an edge on it. Okay, but my ends are not straight. Okay, so next thing I need to do, when I rolled this out, this had kind of a sharp edge. I'm going to say that this is going to be my top edge, and so I'm just going to take that as we've done before, and then just take my cloth and smooth out this side like that. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to roll it over, and I'm going to smooth out this other side. Now you can also be irregular on the top as well. And so this doesn't have to be straight. This can be somewhat rounded on those. Eventually these might get rounded as well. So now I have my odd shape. I'm going to take it just like we did with our other one, and I'm going to try and make it into a cylinder of some sort on that. So I'm going to have this side overlapping this other side. And so they don't match up exactly yet. So let's say this one is going to be the underneath side, so I'm going to take and I'm just going to scratch this right here. And when I start to assemble it, hopefully it'll go together. Now if you need to have a friend kind of hold the sides for you, that's okay too. This is just a scoring tool that I made. Probably a student made it and they left it and I just usurped it. But that's what that guy is. And then we have the scoring, we have the slip, and Oh, you know, I was going to put the design in first. So pretend that I have the design in. Maybe I can do it. Maybe I can do it. Maybe I can do it. Oh, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Now this is going to create a pattern that is regular and even and controlled. So my controlled design right there. Okay, now I got excited about making the curved pot. Sorry, dang. Okay, there's that. And then there's this side over here. Okay, now comes the fun part. We get to put it together. I'm going to zip it up just like we're going to zip up a jacket. Okay, so I'm going to start here down at the bottom, and I'm just going to press it together with my fingers, and as it comes, I'm going to press it together some more. And now we got to move the zipper over a little bit. Move the zipper over here a little bit more, and then move the zipper over here like that. So now we have that edge somewhat clean and joined together. But it looks somewhat straight, but now if I take it on the side, you'll notice I have kind of a bent pot. Ah, how cool is that? So now that I have that, I want to have control. So I want to have some control over this sort of thing, and we're going to do that. And I'm just looking to see how round it is. Here's the other thing you can do, is you can take and you can stretch out, bend out parts you want. So I'm pulling this side out here like this, just kind of widening it out a little bit. And I was going to push this side maybe in a little bit. Okay, so what we have here, you don't see it there, but if I put it to the side, it's starting to look a little bit more bent. Now here's another thing we can do. If you made one that was just straight, okay, with that, you can come into the inside like this, and you can push a side out. Like let's say I wanted this side out some more. I'm going to take here, and I'm just going to take this tool, and I'm going to push it out like that. And I'm going to take it over here, and I'm going to push this side out. And what you don't see, as we get going here like this, let's see if I can do it here to the side, is if we take it like this, and we see that bending at all, and we see the pressure coming out. I can see it this way. Maybe from the top we can see it. Ah, okay, hold on. Let's move and position this over here. That's pretty cool, right? So here, on that side, you can see just a little bit, like right there, how it gets pushed out. So you can push out a side or two to accentuate your bend. If you wanted to make one that was just, let's say, kind of just rounded in the middle, you can make a straight one and then just push the sides out all the way around. And so instead of having a straight pot like this, or a straight mug up and down, it's going to start here, and then when you push it out, it's going to go out, then it's going to come back in again. And so that's kind of a deal on something we can do. And so that's kind of a stretch technique, a stretching technique that we can use. Okay, I do need to put a base on it, right? I got that bottom there that we got to put on. This is a little thin, as far as narrow, I guess, not necessarily thin, but I need it to go this way just a little bit more. Okay. So there's that piece. This is going to go on here. Now, I wanted it to be somewhat rounded on the bottom. Go figure. With those. And so I'm looking to make sure it's fitting on the piece, and it looks pretty good. I think we're all right. Okay, so now I just need to draw around the bottom. And so I'm taking the needle tool. I'm drawing around the bottom because I need to know where to scratch, where to score it on there. Okay, then I'm going to take this piece. We're going to turn it upside down for the moment. Now sometimes if we turn it upside down, it may not have the shape that you want. It may not stand up. So you got to be careful on that. You may have to have somebody hold it or something like that. So now I know where to scratch, and I was going to make it more of a circle, so I'm going to take it out a little wider there. And so I'm looking to draw with my scratch surface, make that a little bit more circular. Then I'm coming here, scratching this surface. Now remember, you can start with something that is, you could probably start with something straight and then stretch it, or you can start with something that has some of the ends a little bit curved and on those. Either one will work. Oh, got a glump of clay there. Don't want that. Whee! Okay. Then I'm going to take this guy, and I think I had it setting on here like that. Okay, I got to peek inside to make sure it's rounded. And so, stand up for a second so I can see inside what's going on. So I'm looking inside here, and I'm just trying to make sure that the base is rounded and on the part that I'm looking for down inside. You can't see inside as well, but you'll have to trust me on that one, I guess. That had a little more curve than I wanted. Okay, so now I'm going to remove some of the excess. I'm not going to cut it close yet, right? Because we still need it to join and solidify and all that sort of a thing on it. So with that, I can take it here just like we did with the other one, slowly loosen it up from my cloth, and then I can just take it and lift it up maybe 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 of an inch, and kind of tap it down so it does attach. And now what I want to do is I'm to the stage where I kind of want to make sure things are going in the right direction, that I still have control over the piece. Okay, kind of like that bulbous side there. That's kind of fun. I think I want this side to be pulled out just a little bit more. So I'm going to hold it in here like this with my hand and kind of pull it out a little bit, and then smooth that surface. Maybe this one could be out a little bit more too. Maybe we make that pulled out a little bit more, so it's more open, right? A little bit more open. I think that's more inviting. Okay, the other thing I wanted to do is this. I thought, okay, so I want another area of control. The pressed in designs, they look pretty good. I still did in my movement, doesn't look like I took a hammer to it, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to make kind of an area that makes it look like there's a seam on that one that's been joined together. So I'm going to take my needle tool here. I figured I needed more control, and so I'm just going to take this. This will also help make sure that the seam stays together because I'm pressing it together, and I'm supporting it on the inside, and then I'm just making these dots about the same distance apart. So you're just taking my time to put those pieces in there, making sure the seam stays together. So it looks like it's been riveted together. Okay. The clay does stick to this a little bit, especially when it gets wet. All right. So another area where I can show control, right? And then down to the bottom of the zipper. Okay, so now I have a little bit more of a pattern, of a design on this side that's showing the control aspects that we're looking for, right? Okay, that's a good thing. That got scrunched in just a little bit right here. There's a little bit of a dent. I wanted a little bit more continuous than that. Okay, let's jump into the handle side of things. First though, I think I am going to cut this, the bottom edge off. So when we cut this off, I want it undercut just a little bit. That makes it look light, not like light as in loss of value, but light as in not heavy. We don't want it to look heavy. It can be heavy, but I don't want it to look heavy, because I want somebody to buy this from me. I want somebody to think that's so cool. That, you know, I gotta have it. I gotta have one just like it. Or I gotta have it. And so if it looks light, the potential customer may actually pick it up. And you know, if they can pick it up and hold it, they might like it, and they might buy it, and they might pay me money. All these things are good on those. Okay, so now I have that edge kind of smooth. You can't see it very well on the camera. You know, there's a little dent right here that needs to be pushed out. So I'm just going down inside and pushing that dent out. It made it look like it had a dent, and I don't want it to look like it had a dent. Okay, so let's move this off to the side. Let's bring in the handle. And the thickness rule on my handle still applies on that. So if it is about the width of the ruler, that will be good. Take a slicer on that one. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I know it's not going to be that long. So somewhere around this thickness. Now here we go. Remember that on the handle we do need to have the edges smooth. So when we hold the thing, it's not cutting into our fingers. Flop this up like that. Here's where the handle is. I can feel it underneath there. And I'm just going to smooth out this side with the cloth. Unroll it. Roll it over one this way. Flip that up. Oh, flipped up the whole shoot match. There we go. There we go. And so now smooth that out like that. So that one's here. Now there's 4 sides or 4 corners to the handle. Now I need to take it and turn it this way. And if I do that and then we smooth it out, that's the 3rd side. Then rotate it this way. And that'll be our 4th side. It doesn't need to be absolutely tight. So what we see here is this. Notice that it's fairly smooth on all the edges, both on this side and this side as we put it in. Okay, so there's our handle, ready to rock and roll. Let me bring the mug body back over here. Okay, how do I want this handle to go? How do I want to drink out of this thing? I think the handle needs to be over here somewhere. Don't you? I'm thinking maybe right here on that one. I don't think I'm going to put it right on the seam. I think I'm going to put it like right over here where I have that bulging part. Because then it makes it look like you could pour it this way if you want. You could drink out of this side with those. Okay, so let's do our rule. Remember, the rule on handles is half the distance, right? So if it's here, we can go to here. Maybe a little bit with this bulb can stick out a little bit more than that. So, way too much. Way too much. All right, let's guess on this. So if we stuck it there, and we stuck it right under that part, maybe over here just a little more, maybe like that. Now I'm also looking in here how much room is between there, and I have about that much room, which is about that distance. Now here we got to remember that this part is still part of it, so it could stick out maybe this far, and so I think we're about right on that. That looks pretty good. I feel good about that. Okay, so I'm going to put just a little bit of a mark here and a little bit mark by the bottom part so I can take those off, and then I can go back and score them. Up, 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 up. Okay, we're going to be a little higher than that. But this is right beside the seam, and then I'm going to come back here and score that edge. Now remember, this is the same technique on a lot of the construction that we're using initially with our 2 mugs. Handle assembles the same, you know, scoring and slipping to stick things together is still the same with those. But the side shape is what we're doing that's different on those. And so it should be cool. Okay, a little bit of slip on those. Then we take it, hold it on the inside, attach the handle by gently pushing it together. Get the bottom piece. Do the same thing. Stick your hand way down inside to the bottom. There it is. I found it. And stick it together. Now here's the deal. Here's the deal. You'll notice that the handle starts to slump just a little bit. And I might be able to turn it upside down. We can experiment and see. This one, I think I want to set up a little bit more. So what I'm going to do on this instead of putting it upside down on that, I'm just going to take a small piece of clay that I have right here, and I'm going to stick it like this and have it support the handle a little bit as it starts to dry, starts to set up, like that. So I just put this piece of clay underneath it so it can support the bottom of the handle. And so as it's sitting out here in the air, it can start to harden and start to dry. This is really kind of a loose bit of clay here on that one. I could also wad up a piece of paper or something like that, shove it up underneath and have that work that way. And then I can photograph it just like this, right side up. And that is the bent mug. The bent mug. So something, enough control to show that it has tight qualities to it and enough looseness so it's moving and it's not straight up and down, is what our goal is on that one with our technique. And that is it. That is our bent pot. Like I said, you guys are going to have 3 days to finish this one off if you just have the one left. If you still have a second mug to do that mug and then do this one. If you have 3 mugs to do one a day, and you should be okay with those sorts of things. So that's our master plan. Thanks.